Strength, courage, and wisdom, it's inside of you always. Shout out to NDRE, okay? Today, let's talk about that strength, that courage, and that wisdom that it takes to go through this lifetime, okay? You have to have the strength, okay? Meaning you have to be up when everybody else is down sometimes. You got to fight that fight to get through it because there's always going to be somebody who's going to try to push those buttons. And although they are trying to push those buttons, a lot of the times those people are hurt themselves because hurt people, right? But hurt people also hurt themselves. That's why we are all supposed to be growing here, okay? You got to have that courage and that strength. The courage you're going to need to get up and keep on fighting. The strength you're going to need because you're going to have to keep that momentum up, okay? And the wisdom that God gives you, okay? When you're praying, you're asking God for the wisdom to move forward. You're asking Him for the strength and the courage to get through it because the fight is still on. There's a spiritual war going on out here. You know, today I had some energy fighting against me, and I just knew I had to talk to God about it. It started with a job, me going back to a previous job, and I prayed on it. I said, God, should I be doing this? Let me pray on it. And God specifically gave me the response that I needed, okay? He gave it to me while on the phone with the people, okay? Sometimes you got to really, you don't always know what's going on. God knows what's going on around you. Your spirit guides are helping you. And don't forget the ancestors. But there are also some good ancestors, and there's also some of the ancestors who were here and were on a whole different journey than you. And that's where the wisdom comes in. You have to know how to decipher things sometimes, you know. Sometimes, you know, I had a crystal one time, lapis lazuli, and I lost it while I was visiting someone. And the woman said, you got a what? When I need something, I go to God. Let me tell you something. God gave us those crystals, okay? And nobody's worshiping anything. But what we are using them for is to work on our behalf. You know, sometimes you take different things, like you take a cross. People wear a cross around their necks, right? Are you idolizing the cross? I hope not. You know, sometimes you, excuse me, God gave us the planets, right? And certain things that drop from those planets land here on Earth. Those are those crystals, okay? How you use them, how you choose to see that is a whole different thing, okay? That rose quartz will help you stay elevated in love, okay? Everybody knows, okay, that certain stones are helpful in certain ways, okay? And that's just it. Nobody talks about what happens with the lavender. The lavender calms you, right? That's oil, okay? Now, everybody knows there's certain, you have the crystals. Our body is made up of liquid crystals, okay? So working together with the two actually helps you to elevate in certain ways, okay? I can't get into that right now because we're talking about one specific topic here. And in this topic, we are looking at how it is that we are led, okay? I was always trying to help everybody else, help everybody get to where they had to go. Oh, you need this? Let me give this to you. Oh, you need that? If I had it, you had it. But then I realized as time went on, everybody didn't always have my back, okay? You have certain people, warlocks in the family, who did not want me to be in a relationship, or if they did, they wanted me to be in a low-level relationship. You had also, let's take it to it, okay? Females in the family too, who saw things totally differently, and they didn't want me to be happy either. Jealousy, envy, whichever way you want to look at it, okay? I'm putting a label on it. Some people might not put a label on it. They might just say, oh, you just saying that that person was a bad person, okay? Let's put it that way. Maybe there were certain people who were envious or jealous, and they chose to take things into their own hands by doing things that they should not have been doing. Since a child, people clipping hair off my head and going to a practitioner and asking what my future is going to be. I mean, let's just be honest. This is what a lot of people's families face. Now, I'm bringing it here on this platform, but let's just be honest. These things happen. And I'm not pointing fingers to specific people, but they know who they are, okay? And with all of that, I had to look at what exactly is it that I'm doing, okay? I could blame people all day, but there's certain portions of this responsibility that I must take, and I'm not giving everybody my power. But by taking your power back, your strength, and not just leaning onto someone else's understanding, okay? The Bible speaks about even focusing on your own understanding. Sometimes you don't have the true understanding. God is leading you in doing so, okay? And this is how it has to go, okay? We are all learning here. We're all growing, okay? So when we say, what is your worth? Does that mean you have to have a bank account of money? No, your worth is how you feel. Do you feel that you're worthy to have these things? Then you're worthy to have these things. Do you feel that what are you doing? Are you helping others? Now, I may help others, and I may persevere and do things for myself. I have to first survive on my own before I can survive, or should I say, help others. What does it say when you're on the airplane? Take the oxygen mask and put it on you first before you can put it on the kids? Because if you are putting it on other people's faces and you've not put it on yourself first, you could die while you're trying to save other people's lives. So when we look at what you're worthy of, that self-love comes in there too, okay? If I feel like I'm worthy, then I'm going to invest in myself, okay? Sure, we're going to struggle. Sure, we're going to meet strife here and there. Sure, sometimes people are going to go against you and do all sorts of things. But let me tell you something. Behind the scenes, God is working. In fact, he's working right in front of you. The wonderful thing about it is when God is in your corner, he's going to guide you through the situation. Sure, you might cry. Sure, you might be disappointed in people and what they do. But at the end of the day, whether you call these people priests, priestess, whoever, you go to God and you say, look, I need your help. I'm going through this. He knows you're going through it too. But it's important that you have that conversation. Spiritually, I am connecting myself with God. I've already been connected, but I'm making sure that I elaborate on what my needs are. I need to talk to somebody. Can I call everybody else? No. You can't. Some people, they were there to take, but they are not there to give, okay? I am fortunate enough to know that I have certain friends who I know I can count on, and I'm very thankful and blessed for those friends. But spiritually, the spiritual war, what about that one? Everybody can't fight in your honor in spiritual war. You have to fight on your behalf, and then there's other people, other heroes behind the scenes who are working on your behalf too. Other friends, other maybe family members, maybe your ancestors, whoever it is. God is working here, and he is putting everything in place. Speak to God about it, and everything will work out, okay? It might not work out the same way that we see it as working out, the way we want it to work out. But on different levels, especially spiritually speaking, we have got to work on how we're going to get this thing done. You know, when you're meditating and you're listening to God and he's guiding you, you know, I remember I was in a relationship and I know that my angels were talking to me. I was being guided, and I'm like, wait a minute. I had to really sit down and meditate and think about it, because I was in a war that I didn't even know existed, a spiritual war, or the person who I called a mate. You know, I thought this person was working in my favor. Coming to find out, that person was a warlock, okay? If I got to put a label on it. And regardless of what he is, was, what have you, I had to take certain things into consideration. I had to get on my knees and pray. I had to meditate. I had to do my own spiritual work, okay? Read that Bible. Yes, I did. I read the Bible, and I got the answers that I needed. But it didn't come overnight, just like everything else didn't come overnight. Sometimes you got to fight through it. And sometimes these things will take years. It won't even take an hour or 2 minutes. It goes in the opposite area. And let me tell you something, when you realize who the people are who are working against you, you might be shocked. But at the end of the day, after all that shock is over, it's time to work. It's time to go into warfare. It's time to talk to God. It's time to have God really have that conversation with you, and you ask for guidance. because that's what we're needing, guidance at times. Now, sure, I put labels on certain things during this time, which I usually don't. I just say people. But sometimes you got to sometimes drop it, drop that science, so that people can see exactly what is going on. People working against you, now all of a sudden they want to communicate. They didn't communicate all that time when they were stealing from you, but now all of a sudden they want to communicate. Well, you know what? That is just fine. You can try to communicate on any level that you choose to. But you need to first apologize for what it is your actions displayed. You're embarrassed now for the things that you did? Now? Children now coming into this world, you forgot? The children now suffer for some of the actions that you make, okay? So that's why you got to go to God with it. You got to talk to God about it, because there is no one else who's going to be able to help you the way He can. Or some people see God as a she, or a she can. Either way, it is time for you to take that time and to develop that love for yourself. Because love, if you had loved yourself, you would never have made such actions, played such actions, to hurt another individual, And it's fine, because we are all healing here, and we have all made mistakes. But at the same time, you got to fight the war, and you got to get through this on your own, with God's help, of course. God is the first, the first form of warfare that you're going to need. I had to figure the wording on that one, right? We are all going through something. I might not be going through more than you. You might not be going through more than me. Whatever the case, you need to make sure that you are working in your best efforts to pray and ask for guidance. In all things, if we ask for guidance, we wouldn't find ourselves in half of the mayhem that we found ourselves in, right? So it is important that we take the time and just talk to God about it. Everyone else can take a second seat while you're talking to God. And you guys figure out how you're going to do it. God's going to give you the right answer, and then you can persevere and move forward in that. Okay? Because you're going to need that strength, that courage, and that wisdom. Courage is what got you out there in the first place. You had to have courage to go and ask God to work on your behalf. You had to have the strength and the tenacity to stay in the game, to continue to fight through it, right? So that strength, that's your courage, and that's your wisdom. Remember that regardless of what goes on, God is going to be in your favor if you're doing the right thing. But if you do things with ill intent, you cannot expect God to work in your favor. Maybe you need to be asking for forgiveness for the things that you've done. If you were wrong, if you were in the wrong, you have to ask for forgiveness. If you were in the right, then you just say, thank you, God, because God is guiding you through it and helped you to get through it. You have to sometimes ask for safe travel, because sometimes you might be driving in a vehicle and the person is driving all chaotically. Whatever the case, know that you are loved, and it is so lovely being you. You have a wonderful day. And I know I went all around the mulberry bush and everything, but it's important that we realize that in this lifetime we need God's help. We need to be sometimes patient. And let me tell you something. I'm talking about patience. I might not be the most patient person, but I know that this is something that I have to work through myself. And it's something that we all sometimes have some challenges in. However, by just asking for God's help and for His wisdom and for the strength to get through it, and making sure that you are taking that time. We can't just go to God when we need something. We need to be having a regular conversation with Him like He's our best friend, because He is. Okay? He's not only your Father, He's your best friend. Nobody else can get you through half of those things that you've been challenged with outside of Him. Now, I know I have people, I know I have angels, I know I have people who are working on my behalf, regardless of how I might not know who they are or what have you. And I'm saying thank you in advance for being such a helpful person in my life. And I'm thankful to my angels and my spirit guides. I'm so thankful that God placed the necessary angels and people in my life, because I know that I cannot get through this alone, whatever it is that I go through. We are here. We are supposed to be connected, and we are connected spiritually. However, there's some people who don't even believe in God. Nowadays, there are certain people who just do not. And maybe on your platform or my platform, we can wake people up. Either way, you just know that you are loved. God loves you, and we love you, okay? And you just keep on pushing. Keep on moving. You will eventually get to where you're going, okay? It is so lovely being you, regardless of how anyone else wants to view you. Know that you might be different, but you're different because God made you that way. You enjoy your day.